Yo, it's Mac from the Everyday Nobody's podcast. I know you said title, but before we get straight to it, let me say this. First things first, I just want to thank everybody for rocking with me the way they did in 2024. You know, January 5th, that was when I said, I'm going to take this serious. I'm going to actually put words to Mike. We're going to try to go forward. I think we had 75 viewers at that time. Now we're at like 640. So I want to thank everybody that helped me get there. We on our way to 1,000. Yeah, man, I appreciate y'all because you get your content, you get your breakdowns, you could get all this information anywhere, but you're right here with me. And I appreciate that. Because who am I? I'm just an everyday nobody. So now let's get straight to it. Skip Bayless has officially ruined his life. And of course, I am talking about them nasty allegations, but this actually started even before that, and we're going to get to all that. But how did we get there? See, Skip's demise actually started early in like January of 2023 when he got into it with Shannon Sharpe on air. See, where it really started was when Demar Hamlin practically died on the field. And Skip put out a tweet that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. He said, no doubt the NFL is considering postponing the game, but how? This late in the season, a game of this magnitude is crucial to the regular season outcome, which suddenly seems so irrelevant. Now, to Skip's defense, I completely understand to an extent because in all my life of watching football, I don't think I've ever seen anybody actually like die on the field and have to be resuscitated. So that was a different thought. Nobody even knew how to feel about that. So for Skip to say that, I understand his curiosity. But when you say that, at the timing that you say that, it just looks completely insensitive. So I understand where the outrage was coming from. To a lot of people, it just came off like the season was more important than Demar Hamlin. Shannon was very offended by that comment because he was like, as an ex-player, when something that devastating happens to a player, nobody cares what happens in the season. Like somebody literally almost died on the field. So he was disturbed by that, and he brought that energy into the workplace. Shannon was so frustrated that he couldn't even get through his monologue because Skip was already on the defensive trying to justify his point for making that tweet.
But I've never seen anybody have to be revived and fight for their life on the field. So it struck me a little differently because I remember seeing my brother paralyzed on the field temporarily, and he was able to regain focus. Skip tweeted something, and although I disagree with the tweet, and hopefully Skip would take it down, but I didn't want it.
Well, time out. I'm not going to take it down because I stand by what I tweeted.
Skip, let me finish.
All right, okay.
Go ahead.
No, you go.
Go ahead, let's go, Jen.
Okay.
I mean, I cannot even get through a monologue without you interrupting me.
Well,
you could have came back, Skip.
Well, I thought,
Skip, just let me.
I didn't know you were going to bring up
No,
this.
I was just going to say, Skip, I didn't want to yesterday to get into a situation where Demar Hamlin was the issue. We should have been talking about him and not get into your tweet. That's what I was going to do. But you can't even let me finish my opening monologue without you interrupting.
Okay. I was under the impression you weren't going to bring this up because nobody here had a problem with that tweet.
No.
Now, hear me out. I understand that this is a debate show, so arguments are a part of the gig, but that was personal. Shannon was not feeling that at all. He took that to heart. That was Skip's first strike. Then we all know about the Tom Brady debacle where basically Skip decided to insult Shannon Sharpe's Hall of Fame career because Shannon Sharpe decided to critique Tom Brady's lackluster performance for that year. I have to point out again, this is a debate show, so arguments is a part of the gig. That was very, very personal.
Wait a minute. This is just straight hate by a guy who's jealous that he is still playing at a high level at 45 when you had to stop at 35.
Skip, that's what you do.
That's the point.
That's what you do. Every time I call something into question, I'm jealous.
No.
Skip, I did what I did.
I never said you were jealous of Baker Mayfield.
Skip, I did what I did. You make it seem like I was a bum. I'm in the effing Hall of Fame.
Okay,
I got three Super Bowls.
So what?
So what?
He's way better than you were.
I'm better than you.
Better.
Skip, I got to see what you do. You take personal shots.
No, I don't take personal shots. You started it.
Time out. You would take a personal shot at me.
I didn't take a personal shot at you.
Wait a minute.
What are you talking about?
You would take a personal
Put your glasses back on.
Shannon felt so disrespected that the duel was never quite the same. The chemistry was just off. And then you could see Shannon starting to plan his departure. That was strike two. And we all know the story how everything else went. Shannon ends up leaving FS1, links up with Stephen A. Smith, and becomes even bigger than he ever was with Skip. So it looks even worse because it looks like Skip forced out the only person that was helping them win. Then it gets even worse because along with Shannon Sharpe leaving FS1, linking up with Stephen A., the direct competition. Now Shannon Sharpe's podcast is booming. Club Shay Shay ends up having the explosion of a lifetime. He has the biggest interview practically of all time. He has Cat Williams, where he predicted our future. Then it gets even worse because Shannon Sharpe and Ocho, their nightcap show gets even bigger. So it seems like everything Shannon does just gets bigger and bigger. But what is Skip doing while all this is happening? He's failing miserably. He's trying to do this rotating co-host thing. Nobody has chemistry. It's just trash. The ratings were down. And it basically proved to the world that the person that you disrespected the most was the reason why y'all were surviving. You needed Shannon and you kicked him to the curb. So now look at you. And just when you thought it couldn't get worse, Skip gets fired. And I remember thinking, this is odd. They just fired Skip. Like no warning or nothing. They just fired him. Now, you would think the Godfather of debate would have some type of farewell tour or a going away party or something, but for him, there was nothing. They just kind of kicked him to the curb, and I always thought that was weird. Like, even if Skip ran off Shannon Sharpe and then drove the show into the ground, you would think they would have some respect for him to at least do a homegoing, like a proper send-off. But with everything that's happened today, maybe FS1 knew something that the public didn't know. A lawsuit would come from an FS1 hairstylist that said Skip would come on to her sexually. He's done that multiple times. He would proposition her for sex. He would inappropriately touch her. It was a lot of nasty work that Skip was up to. She said he would give lingering hugs while kissing her on the neck and pressing her breasts up against him. Like it was bad. It was harassment. She made claims that she told Skip repeatedly that she was not interested and she doesn't mess with nobody from work. She even went to the point of telling Skip, look, I have ovarian cancer, just so he could stop doing what he was doing. You would think that would make him stop, but it actually made him come on more aggressively. He ended up just saying, hey, look, I'll give you $1.5 million if you let me do what I want to do. Then he would take it even further, and she felt so uncomfortable. She was like, don't you have a wife? And Skip said, well, aren't you Muslim? Doesn't your father have multiple wives? To that, she was like, my father's dead. And she made it awkward and got out of the situation. Now, we don't know if any of this is true, but what makes it scary is that she does say she went to human resources. And if she went to human resources, all this should be documented. So if this is true, he could be in a lot of trouble. I don't know what's true. I wasn't there. I didn't see anything. I know you're innocent until proven guilty. So I can't say if Skip did this or not. I do know people lie all the time for a money grab or to climb in their career. So we can't really speculate on what really happened until all the evidence comes out. But what I do know for sure is Skip's career will never be the same. Because if this woman is lying, it doesn't matter because the apology will never be as loud as the accusation. So if he can prove his innocence, nobody's going to come back and say, hey, we apologize, Skip. And then that's also coming off the back of him just getting fired and him disrespecting basically one of sports' most beloved figures and commentators of this time. So I don't see Skip bouncing back for this. I don't think he'll ever recover.
I am never going to financially recover from this.
But what do I know? I'm just an everyday nobody. What do you think? Do you think Skip did it? Is this karma for what Skip did to Shannon Sharpe? Tell me what you think in the comments, like and subscribe. I'm out.